Welcome to Eastern State Penitentiary Historic Sites Sing Unburied Sing series. My name is Tom, and I am a tour guide at Eastern State. In this series, I, along with my colleagues Janae and Christine, have been exploring literature's unique power in communicating human stories and experiences with incarceration through the ongoing discussion of Jesmyn Ward's 2017 novel, Sing Unburied Sing. If you haven't already, you can check out last week's program on the role race and juvenile incarceration play in the novel and at Eastern State. In today's discussion of Sing Unburied Sing, we will be examining the ways that labor at Parchment Farm, the Mississippi State Penitentiary, impacts the novel and acts as a plot device, and compare it to Eastern State's system of labor in the 20th century. To focus our discussion, we will be presenting direct quotes from various texts throughout the video. These quotes will be read by my colleague Christine. Please note that the language in these quotes is the author's, not our own, and some of the imagery used may be troubling. Let's begin with a quick overview of the novel Sing Unburied Sing, which explores the ways that incarceration, racism, and addiction impact the complex life of a poor, mixed-race family in modern-day rural Mississippi. The novel primarily follows 13-year-old Jojo as he and his family prepare for his father's return from Parchment prison. While Eastern State was founded on the separate system of isolation, Parchment Farm was created using the congregate system of communal living. Prison labor was a hallmark of both systems and philosophies. Over the course of the novel, readers learn of the friendship between Jojo's grandfather, Pop, and a young boy named Richie during their time together at Parchment Prison in the 1950s. Richie was just 12 years old when he was imprisoned at Parchment for stealing salted meat. As Pop remembers his time with Richie at Parchment, he recalls the harsh working conditions they both faced while working in the prison's cotton fields.
That 12-year-old boy I told you about, Richie, they put him on the long line. From sunup to sundown, we was out there in them fields, hoeing and picking and planting and pulling. A man get to a point like that, he can't just feel like he want to stop moving, feel his stomach burn and know he want to eat, feel his head packed full of cotton and know he want to sleep.
Pop also asserts, quote, even though white people couldn't get your work for free, they did everything they could to avoid hiring you and paying you to do it. Both of these quotes in the book are direct references to a very specific practice. The Parchment field labor that Pop describes is referring to a system known as Convict Leasing, a system in which people in prison were leased out to private parties, often planters and industrialists, to work in often brutal conditions and at the mercy of the lessee. This system was cheap, made money for the state, and was key to rebuilding the South during Reconstruction and into the early 1900s. The practice of convict leasing exploited the labors of people in prison, but specifically and disproportionately exploited the labor of imprisoned Black men. Many states in the South imprisoned Black men for theft or violating, quote, vagrancy laws affecting people without jobs or housing, in an effort to continue making money after the end of slavery. It was essentially a way to uphold slavery by another name. The use of convict lease labor was officially abolished on July 1st, 1928. However, states in the South continued to use exploitive and profitable prison labor structures by transitioning to the use of chain gangs. Chain gangs were groups of prisoners forced to work on projects like road construction, ditch digging, and farming while chained together. The use of chain gangs enabled states to cheaply construct and repair public roadways and infrastructure to improve agricultural trade throughout the South. Even though chain gangs are generally phased out by the 1950s, in the following decades, some states have reinstated similar systems. Here is a New York Times article from 1995 entitled Chain Gangs to Return to the Roads of Alabama. According to this article, the state prison commissioner at the time, Ron Jones, thought that reinstating chain gangs in Alabama would deter crime. However, Alan Bronstein, executive director of the National Prison Project for the American Civil Liberties Union, opposed the measure, stating, quote, "People lose touch with humanity when you put them in chains." In comparing Parchment's system of labor to Eastern state penitentiaries, we see interesting differences and similarities. In the early years of Eastern State Penitentiary, prison officials aimed to teach prisoners trades that would allow them successful re-entry into society and the working class. Convict-made goods and trades like tailoring, cigar making, and woodworking were common throughout Eastern State's history. The penitentiary's use of prison labor was an attempt to both rehabilitate people by teaching them a trade and social skills for re-entering society, and to make cheap goods that could earn money for the state. However, Eastern State's policies changed quite a bit during the early 20th century, specifically by employing the state use system. Under this new system, prison labor was used to benefit the state by producing goods and services that could be used by the state. The variety of jobs grew to include medical assistants, auto mechanics, runners, bricklayers, and carpenters. According to an article in the 1925 Evening Ledger, a prison-run newspaper, 300 prisoners worked in state-run shops, while another 700 were in business for themselves or for other prisoners. As Eastern State's population began to steadily increase in the late 19th century and early 20th century, the prison relied heavily on prisoners to construct new spaces and cell blocks. Here are photos depicting the people incarcerated at Eastern State building cell blocks 14, 15, and the communal dining halls referred to as Soup Alley. Additionally, Eastern State's farm branch, Graterford Prison, was built in the late 1920s using prison labor. Here is an article highlighting a bill specifying the use of Eastern State prisoners to construct much of the facility. Today, most prisons have some form of prison correctional industry. For example, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections operates Big House Industries through its Corrective Industries Bureau. Incarcerated people at Big House Industries create apparel, bags, personal care items, signs, and cleaning products. Big House products are available for purchase for nonprofit organizations and government agencies throughout Pennsylvania. In Philadelphia city jails, Philacor, the city's correctional industries entity, provides objects for the Philadelphia School District, as well as city government agencies, including furnishings in City Hall. Philacor's products are advertised in a ready-to-order catalog from which the city government can order supplies for its workplace. Examining prison labor practices throughout history is a controversial issue, raising the question about whether or not people should work while incarcerated, what types of jobs they should have, and how much they should be paid for their labor. When discussing prison wages here in Pennsylvania, we see little change from the early 1900s to the prison wages today. In 1915, Eastern State inmates made 10 cents to 50 cents per day, which would be about $2.43 to $12.13 per day in today's dollars. Today, Pennsylvania state prisoners make between 19 cents and $1 per hour, depending on the job. And since the standard workday in Pennsylvania state prisons is 6 hours, that means that people incarcerated are making between $1.14 and $6 per day. So what do you think? In what ways do you think prison labor has changed today? In what ways has it not changed? Let us close with a thought from the character of Richie that he shares with Jojo at the end of Sing Unburied Sing. Sometimes I think it done change. Then I wake up and it ain't changed none. It's like a snake that sheds its skin. The outside looks different when the scales change, but inside always the same. Ward also shows us that literature has the power to magnify the stories of the marginalized and can create space for conversation and reflection. Ward's novel also helps us recognize that all people, incarcerated or not, have their own unique story to tell. Where else have you seen the power of storytelling shed light on an important issue? Check back for our final video discussing the relationship between prison jobs and surveillance at Parchment Prison and at Eastern State Penitentiary with our tour guide, Christine.